I am asking you one last time to comply with my orders. Do you understand?
Keep your hands up right now. And,
Sir, they are up. I am cooperating.
The siren wasn't loud at first. It flickered behind her like an afterthought, a lazy threat carried on the cold morning air. Dr. Lena Warren slowed her stride but didn't tone, clutching her briefcase tighter as she crossed the nearly empty parking structure. She had a 7 a.m. briefing at Quantico and no time for nonsense. Then the engine roared. Tires scraped concrete. A police cruiser swerved into her path, forcing her to step back. The burst of headlights washed her vision white. She blinked, heart punching her ribs. "Hey, you, stop right there." The voice snapped like a whip. Sharp, commanding, a tone meant to shrink someone. Lena exhaled slowly, steadying the tremor cooling up her spine. She turned. A white patrol officer was already marching toward her, jaw tight, hand resting too casually on her holster. His eyes scanned her as if searching for a threat he hoped to find. "I said stop," he barked. "This is a restricted level. Employees only." Lena's fingers tightened around her badge inside her coat. She hadn't even shown it yet. "I work here," she said. "Calm. Surface calm." The officer scoffed. "Sure you do." 3 small words, heavy as a verdict. Around them, the garage hummed with fluorescent lights and empty echoes. A single security camera blinked red in the corner, recording every second. Lena slowly reached for her ID. The officer's hand snapped to his weapon. "Don't move." The words echoed, and then he stepped closer. Too close. Fade to black. The garage was always quiet at this hour, a concrete echo chamber lit by buzzing fluorescent strips. Lena's heels clicked a steady rhythm across the floor, measured and calm, her breath visible in the cold air. She was thinking about the morning briefing, the encrypted case file in her briefcase, and the message she still needed to return before 7. The siren shattered the rhythm. A sharp chirp. Then another. Not urgent, provocative. She slowed, turning her head just enough to catch the flashing reflection across the pillars. The cruiser crawled behind her like a stalking animal. "Not today," she murmured, tightening her grip on the briefcase. She kept walking. The engine revved. Hard. The cruiser jerked forward and swerved in front of her, halting inches from her legs. She stopped short, her breath catching. The headlights flooded her vision with a sterile white glare. The driver door slammed. A voice snapped through the air. "Stop right there." Lena inhaled once, steadying her pulse. She turned. The officer marched toward her with rigid purpose. Early 40s. Square jaw. Close-cropped hair. His name tag, Croft, glinted under garage lights. His hand hovered too familiarly over the holster. "This level is restricted," he said. "Employees only." "I'm aware," she replied. "Yeah? Show me." His tone wasn't procedural. It was territorial, as if her presence alone broke some unspoken rule he'd sworn to enforce. Lena reached into her coat. "My credentials are—" "Hands where I can see them." She paused. "Officer, I work here." He laughed, a short, dismissive exhale. "Sure you do." The word scraped. She felt the sting under her ribs, quiet but deep. She raised a hand slowly, palms visible. "My identification is in my left coat pocket. I'm reaching for it now." Croft stepped closer. "Not until I say so." A car door slammed in the distance. A man paused by his vehicle, watching with uncomfortable curiosity but offering nothing else. A woman walked around him, pulling her child closer as if worried the moment might ignite into something dangerous. Lena held her voice steady. "Officer, you're escalating a situation that doesn't need escalating. You answering questions with attitude now." Croft snapped. "Let me guess, you're late for some important meeting." Lena swallowed the heat rising in her throat. "I work at the Behavioral Analysis Unit. If you'll let me retrieve." He cut her off. "BAU? That's so." His eyes scanned her slowly, skeptically. "Funny, that's not what I see." She exhaled through her nose. "I'm showing you my badge. Move one finger without my instruction and you'll be detained." She stared at him, pulse loud in her ears. The garage felt colder now, emptier, every second stretched. Backup requested. Croft said into his shoulder, "MIC possible trespasser. Non-compliant." Lena's jaw locked. "I haven't been non-compliant." "You raising your voice at me?" he demanded. "I haven't raised my voice." "Don't argue." Two more officers appeared at the ramp entrance. Their footsteps were brisk, purposeful. Lena felt the tightness gather in her chest, familiar, unwelcome. One officer approached Croft. "What's the issue?" Caught her wandering around restricted levels. "Won't identify." Lena's voice cut through. "I've been trying to identify myself." Croft shot her a glare. "Not your turn to speak." The officers flanked her subtly, hands near their belts. "Officer," she said, addressing the newcomer, "my badge is in my coat. I am reaching for it now." Slowly. The officer hesitated. Croft folded his arms. "Let her. We'll see what you think she has." Lena reached into her coat, deliberately controlled. Her fingers brushed the leather badge case. She lifted it, arm steady, and opened it. The gold FBI shield caught the sterile light. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Croft scoffed. "Fake." "It's genuine," she said. "We'll need you to step aside until we verify," said the second backup officer, though uncertainty crept into his tone. "It won't take long," Croft added, as if savoring the inconvenience. Footsteps echoed from the far end of the garage. A security agent in a dark jacket hurried toward them, irritation etched across his face. "Deputy Director Warren," he called out. Croft's expression flickered. The security agent reached them. "I'm so sorry for the delay. I was notified there was an issue." "There is," Croft said quickly. "She's trespassing." The agent turned cold eyes on him. "She belongs here more than any of us." Croft stiffened. "Her ID needs verifying." "It's been verified for 19 years. Silence fractured the air. The agent stepped between them. "Your briefing room is ready. I'll escort you." Lena nodded once, her composure thin shell over raw nerves. As she walked past Croft, he looked away, not apologetic, just uneasy. The moment slid behind her, but the weight stayed. The bruise was already forming. Lena set her briefcase on her desk, fingers trembling more than she wanted to admit. The sun had barely lifted over the Quantico compound, but she already felt wrung dry. The incident replayed in sharp flashes, the lights, the command in his voice, the pressure in her chest. She inhaled slowly, forcing air into lungs that felt too tight. Her office door opened. "You okay?" Agent Ortiz asked, stepping inside without waiting for permission. He glanced at her face, then away, then back again, unsettled. "I'm fine," Lena said. He didn't believe her, but he wasn't going to challenge it. "There's talk you had some kind of thing in the garage." "An officer stopped me." "Stopped?" He winced at the hollowness of the term. "Right. Look, I'm sure it was just confusion." "It wasn't confusion." Ortiz's mouth tightened. He shifted from foot to foot, as if caught between duty and discomfort. "If you need to, make a note of it. I hear there's a protocol." "I'm aware," she said. He nodded too quickly. "Right. Well, if you need anything." He didn't finish the sentence. He was already halfway out the door. Lena sat heavily in her chair. She stared at the complaint form on her monitor, a sterile online interface, blue borders, bureaucratic language. It waited, patient and cold. She reached for the mouse. A soft knock. Assistant Director Monroe stepped in, his suit immaculate, expression carefully neutral. "Deputy Director," he said, "walk with me a moment." She followed him into the hallway, boots steady, breath not. Monroe spoke quietly. "I heard about the incident." "I imagine so." He nodded. "These things can become complicated." "Complicated," she repeated. "Public scrutiny. Interdepartmental friction. Misinterpretations. You understand." "What I understand," Lena said, "is that an officer drew on me in my workplace." Monroe exhaled through his nose. "I'm not minimizing anything." "You are." He kept walking, slow and authoritative. If you choose to file a formal complaint, you'll trigger a multi-jurisdictional review that will involve a chain of command, our chain of command, press liaisons, union representatives, and that's the system. It's a heavy system. Lena stopped walking. Are you advising me not to file? I'm advising you to consider the consequences for your workload, your security clearance interviews, and the Bureau's current visibility. She held his gaze. I see. He hesitated. It's your choice. But silence is sometimes a smoother path. It usually is, she said. Monroe left her there, quiet in the hallway. She returned to her office, closed the door. Saturday. Her cursor blinked on the empty form. She typed, Officer Daniel Croft initiated unnecessary detainment. Escalation occurred without cause. Attempted to restrict my movement. Her breathing steadied with each line. The words grounded her. They refused to let the moment dissolve into the fog of things endured but undocumented. She submitted the complaint. The screen confirmed. Filed. Timestamp recorded. A strange mix of satisfaction and dread settled into her chest. Down in the precinct across town, Officer Croft leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, irritation carving deep lines into his face. She filed a complaint, he said. Sergeant Malley nodded, handing him a printed memo. Came through IA just now. Croft snatched the paper. I followed protocol. She was in a restricted zone. Malley raised an eyebrow. You sure about how you wrote it up? She was evasive. Wouldn't present ID. That's not what the security agent reported. Croft scoffed. Security doesn't know half the rules we follow. Malley sighed. Look, Croft, you got to be smart. This one's high-ranking. They're gonna expect clean paperwork. My paperwork is clean. Then no problem, Malley said, though his tone suggested he expected problems. Croft's jaw flexed. She's pulling rank to save face. Just tighten your report. Croft leaned forward, typing furiously. Subject behaved suspiciously, refused clear instructions, potential security threat. Tone was confrontational. He paused, then added something he thought sounded official enough to protect him. Officer response was appropriate and necessary given the circumstances. He hit submit. Across the city, Lena received an automated notice. Your complaint is under review. You may be contacted for interview. She set her phone down. A colleague passed her office, slowed, then kept going, eyes averted. The kind of distance people create when they don't want to be pulled into something messy. Her supervisor, Director Ames, appeared in her doorway. I've seen the notification. Lena waited. Ames stepped inside. I wish you had given me a heads up. Would it have changed anything? It would have prepared me. Prepared you, she repeated, not unkind but not soft. Ames sighed. These situations, they create waves. Maybe waves are overdue. Ames didn't respond. She gave a tight nod and left. Lena leaned back in her chair. The weight wasn't lighter, but it was more defined, sharper, clearer. Filing the complaint didn't fix anything, didn't erase the humiliation, didn't make the mourning disappear. But it planted something, a line in the sand, and she wasn't moving it. Officer Daniel Croft sat in the precinct break room, elbows on the table, fingers drumming against a styrofoam cup. The smell of burnt coffee clung to the air. His mood soured everything around him. 3 officers stood nearby, pretending not to watch him while listening intently. She filed a complaint. Croft muttered, his jaw clenching. Can you believe that? Officer Rizzo shrugged. People file complaints all the time. Doesn't mean anything. Croft scoffed. This one does. She's FBI. Deputy something. Deputy Director. Officer Lane corrected from behind a newspaper. Croft snapped his head up. She didn't look like any deputy director. Not even close. Lane folded the paper slowly, raising a brow. What's that supposed to mean? It means she was wandering around a restricted level and acting suspicious, Croft said sharply. Anyone would have stopped her. Rizzo exchanged a glance with Lane, one of those silent, weary exchanges people use when they recognize a pattern too familiar to name aloud. Croft continued, voice tightening. I knew the second she started getting loud that she tried to pull some angle. Lane sighed. Was she actually loud? Loud enough. Attitude counts. Rizzo leaned against the counter. So what now? IA wants an interview. Already submitted my supplemental report, Croft said. Detailed. Thorough. They'll see I follow procedure. Lane's expression didn't budge. You said she refused to identify, right? She barely tried, Croft insisted. Clear signs of evasion. Lane shook his head. Security said she was reaching for her ID when you stopped her. Croft bristled. Security doesn't know protocol. They're not sworn officers. Rizzo crossed his arms. Dan, if she's really FBI brass, you know this'll go through the chain fast. You sure your report's airtight? Croft stared at him. You think I messed up? Rizzo hesitated. I think you need to be cautious. Croft's lip curled. So now I'm the problem. Lane set his paper aside. No one's saying that. You're thinking it, Croft shot back. Before Lane could answer, the union rep, Mark Gentry, walked in, broad-shouldered, wearing a badge clipped to a belt that looked 2 sizes too small. He approached with the authority of someone used to cleaning up other people's disasters. Croft, heard you got a complaint on you. Croft straightened. Ridiculous, right? I followed the book. Gentry sat opposite him. Tell me what happened. Brief. Croft repeated his version. Skewed, curated, leaning on phrasing he believed sounded airtight. Gentry listened without blinking. When Croft finished, Gentry tapped the table. All right. First rule, you don't talk to IA without me present. Second rule, do not discuss the incident with other officers. Third, keep your narrative consistent. Verbatim consistent. My narrative is consistent, Croft said. Gentry nodded slowly. Then stick to it. Lane shifted uncomfortably. Rizzo cleared his throat. The atmosphere thickened, as if an invisible curtain had dropped around Croft. Gentry leaned in. This is manageable. She's high-ranking. Yes, but that also means they'll want this resolved quietly. Probably a misunderstanding. They won't want interagency drama. Croft's shoulders loosened. Exactly. She overreacted. Gentry raised a finger. Don't say that to IA. Say nothing beyond what's in your written report. Croft nodded. Fine. Gentry stood. I'll schedule the prep session. Don't worry. As soon as the union rep left, Lane exhaled. Then, just be careful. Croft glared. Why is everyone acting like I did something wrong? Rizzo opened his mouth, closed it, then tried again. Look, man, people make mistakes in the field. It happens. I didn't make a mistake, Croft snapped. I stopped someone who didn't belong where she was. Lane rubbed his forehead. She did belong there. Not before she proved it. Rizzo tried leveling with him. Dan, you're right up. It sounds defensive. Croft stood abruptly. Because I'm being attacked. By who? Lane asked. By her. Croft thrust a hand toward the general direction of Quantico. By IA. By everyone who wants to crucify a cop for doing his job. Lane's expression softened, a tired sympathy. Nobody's crucifying you. You don't see it, Croft insisted. But I see it. A buzzer sounded from the front desk. A dispatcher called out, Croft, IA scheduled your interview for tomorrow morning. Croft muttered a curse. Great. Perfect. Rizzo nodded toward him. Just keep calm. Stick to policy. Croft didn't answer. He grabbed his coat from the back of the chair and stormed out of the break room, boots hitting the floor with clipped force. In the hallway, he passed 2 young officers who quieted instantly as he approached. He heard one whisper the moment he walked out of earshot, though not out of range. Man's gonna sink himself. Croft's jaw tightened. As he headed toward the locker room, a thin thread of worry wound around his ribs. He shoved it down quickly, replacing it with something harder, sharper. Determination. Defiance. He wasn't going to let her narrative erase his. If she wanted to fight, he'd show her one. And he'd win. Internal Affairs Investigator Dana HSU flipped open the case file and scanned the initial statements, her expression tightening almost immediately. She sat alone in interview room C, a gray wall box lit by a single overhead panel that hummed faintly. Her pen tapped the table as she read Croft's version of the event for the third time. Suspicious behavior, she murmured. Non-compliant. Confrontational. Potential threat. The phrasing set her teeth on edge. Her partner, Investigator Calder, entered balancing 2 coffees. Light roast for you, dark for me. He slid a cup across the table. You look like someone handed you a stack of forged signatures. HSU gestured to file. Read his supplemental report. Calder opened it, scanned, stopped. Oh, he's leaning hard on the suspicion angle. Too hard, HSU said. He uses potential threat 4 times. Calder looked up. 4. 4. He sat opposite her, and the security testimony contradicts half of this. More than half. She stacked the pages. I want him in here today. Calder raised an eyebrow. Union rep will fight that. Good, she replied. A knock came at the door. A clerk poked her head in. Deputy Director Hale's office sent over her statement. HSU took the sealed envelope. Thank you. The clerk nodded and left. Calder watched as HSU opened it carefully. They scanned the clean, measured lines written in Hale's steady tone. Calder exhaled. Precise, not emotional, straight to the point. She's trained, HSU said. She knows exactly how these reviews work. Calder pointed at a paragraph. This part. Officer Croft placed his hand on his weapon while I was reaching for identification. That's an escalation. And it matches security's testimony, HSU said. Any video? Still waiting. Calder leaned back. So what's our angle? We keep it simple, HSU replied. We test the consistency of his story. Calder nodded slowly. And if it cracks? HSU closed the file. Then we keep digging. By noon, Croft sat in the waiting area outside the IA hall, bouncing his knee rapidly. His union rep, Gentry, sat beside him, calm, unreadable, hands folded over a large folder. You remember what we rehearsed? Gentry asked. Yes, Croft snapped. Keep your tone neutral. Don't editorialize. Don't add details not in your report. I know. Gentry leaned in. And do not get defensive. Croft glared. I'm not defensive. Gentry didn't bother arguing. A door opened. Investigator HSU stepped out. Officer Croft. Mr. Gentry. Follow me. Croft walked in, shoulders squared, chin high. HSU sat across from him, Calder beside her. A recorder blinked red between them. This interview is part of an internal inquiry into an incident occurring at the Quantico Access Level 4 garage, HSU began. We will be asking clarifying questions to reconcile conflicting statements. Gentry nodded once. Officer Croft has provided a comprehensive report. We've read it, HSU said. We have questions. Croft ground his molars. Calder opened a folder. Officer Croft, you wrote that the subject, Deputy Director Hale, refused to identify herself. That's correct. HSU slid forward a printed security statement. Security reported that she reached for her ID badge immediately upon request. Croft hesitated. Not immediately. You wrote refuse, HSU said. Refusal and delay are not the same. Croft's fingers curled on the table. She was slow. She hesitated. Gentry placed a restraining hand on his arm. Calder asked, did she verbalize refusal? She didn't follow instructions clearly. HSU's pen tapped once. That doesn't answer the question. Croft's jaw clenched again. No, she didn't say the word no. Calder exchanged a look with HSU. HSU continued. In your report, you describe her tone as confrontational. Can you specify what she said that constituted confrontation? Croft blinked. She questioned my authority. And what exact words did she use? HSU asked. Croft searched for phrases, found none that sounded solid. She said I was making a mistake. Colden nodded. That's not inherently confrontational. Croft snapped. It was in that moment. HSU leaned forward. Officer Croft, when you place your hand on your weapon, what threat indicators did you observe? Croft stiffened. She moved suddenly. Calder flipped a page. Security said she moved slowly and visibly, saying she was reaching for ID. She looked like she was about to. Gentry cut in sharply. Croft, stick to the report. Croft shut his mouth. HSU waited a beat, then continued. Your answers are deviating from your written statement. Croft swallowed hard. I'm clarifying. You're altering, HSU said. A nerve in Croft's cheek twitched. Calder leaned back. We'll need your bodycam footage. I didn't activate it, Croft muttered. HSU's eyes sharpened. Why not? It was a quick stop. Didn't think it would escalate. Stops in restricted areas require activation, Calder said. Croft looked at Gentry, who remained silent, expression flattening with concern. HSU closed a notebook. Officer Croft, until we complete the review, you are placed on administrative duty. Turn in your patrol gear after this meeting. Croft shot upright. What? You can't. This is standard procedure, HSU said calmly, pending investigation. He looked at Gentry, desperate. Do something. Gentry's jaw tightened. I'll file an objection. HSU stood. Interview concluded. The recorder clicked off. Outside the building, Croft walked fast, breath sharp. The cold air bit at his skin. Gentry followed. You weren't consistent. She twisted everything. You gave her room to twist it. Croft's pacing quickened. This is an ambush. She's trying to paint me as incompetent. Gentry didn't answer. Croft stopped, chest rising and falling too fast. Fine, he said aloud, voice vibrating between anger and panic. If they want a battle, they'll get one. I'm not letting IA ruin me. His phone buzzed. A text from unknown. Attention. Officer Croft, media inquiry regarding incident at Quantico. Seeking your comment before publication. Croft froze. The investigation was no longer just internal. It was going public. The precinct felt strangely loud when Maya walked into the FBI field office later that afternoon. Phones ringing, keyboards clacking, printers humming. But beneath the noise, something else vibrated through the air. Heat. Rumor. Movement. She stepped inside, and several agents turned as if they'd been waiting. Deputy Director Harrison, an analyst, said, eyes wide, You might want to see this. Maya frowned. See what? He pointed toward the large central screen usually reserved for real-time intelligence updates. On it, paused mid-frame, was her. Standing in the grocery parking lot, Officer Briggs inches from her face, his jaw twisted in rage. Her stomach dropped. The analyst swallowed. Footage was uploaded anonymously. Uploaded where? She asked. Everywhere. Maya's pulse spiked. Play it. He hit the button. The room filled with the harsh sound of Briggs's voice booming from the speakers. Don't move. Don't you move. I said keep your hands where I can see them. Maya watched herself freeze, her hands visibly raised, groceries slipping. Then came her own voice, calm but shaking. Officer, I haven't done anything. Please. Briggs stepped closer, shouting again. Don't talk back to me. You people never listen. Gasps echoed through the office. Maya's breath caught. He had said that, but hearing it played back, echoing over speakers, made her knees weaken. Pause it, she said. The screen froze on Briggs's face, twisted with anger, sweat shining under streetlights, his grip tight on her arm. How long has this been out? She asked. 40 minutes, the analyst replied. It's already trending globally. Another agent approached, tablet in hand. Civil rights attorneys are posting commentary. Journalists are tagging the department. And the mayor's office just called asking for an internal statement. Maya closed her eyes. She didn't want this. Not like this. She hadn't planned to start a national firestorm. She planned to file the report quietly, let the process work. But someone inside that precinct or close to it had detonated a bomb, and she was now standing at ground zero. Her phone buzzed violently. She didn't check it. Another agent hesitated nearby. The police union is issuing a response, calling the footage misleading and out of context. Maya let out a humorless breath. Of course they are. A second voice spoke behind her. Deputy Director. She turned. Assistant Director Carson approached, expression tight. Maya, he said softly, we need to talk. They moved into her glass-walled office, shutting the door. She's Saturday. Carson remained standing, arms crossed. Do you know who leaked the footage? He asked. No, Maya said, but it wasn't me. I never thought it was. But the optics. Optics. She stared at him. He screamed at me. He grabbed me. He profiled me. On camera. And you're concerned about optics. I'm concerned that you're about to be placed in the center of a national investigation. And you know how these things go. They will come after you. I didn't do anything wrong. That's never stopped them before, Carson said, lowering his voice. You're a black woman in one of the highest federal positions in the country. That alone is a target. Now at a police officer's career on the line. She exhaled slowly. I'm aware. Carson softened. I'm on your side. But you need protection. I need truth, Maya said. A knock on the glass. The analyst again, anxious. He said, the officer, Briggs, he just went live online. Maya straightened. Live where? Everywhere. Carson cursed under his breath. Put it on, Maya said. Within seconds, Briggs's live stream appeared on the screen. He sat in his patrol car, red-eyed, furious, sweating. I'm being attacked, he said, voice trembling with rage. I followed procedure. I followed training. She escalated. She tried to reach into her bag. Any officer would have reacted the same. Carson muttered, "He's digging his own grave." Briggs continued, louder now. They are destroying my life over some woman who thinks she's above the law. That line made Maya lean back slowly. Some woman. He still didn't know. And then, the final blow. Briggs leaned closer to the camera, voice falling into a low, hateful growl. She's nothing special, and I won't let some entitled. Carson hit mute before he finished the sentence. Silence choked the room. Maya inhaled shakily. He thinks this will save him. It won't, Carson said. He doesn't realize he just gave the nation proof of intent. The analyst spoke quietly. There's something else. Maya's stomach tightened again. What now? He held out a printout. Anonymous sender emailed this to our civil rights desk. A link to the full unedited body cam file. Timestamp intact. No gaps. No glitches. Entire event captured. Maya took it slowly. Carson exhaled. Whoever leaked it wants the truth out. All of it. Maya nodded, gripping the printout. Not a partial clip. Not an edited viral moment. The full truth. But with truth came danger. I'll authorize forensic review immediately, she said. Chain of custody needs to be established. Carson hesitated. Maya, are you sure you want to proceed yourself? Once this becomes federal, your name becomes central. It already is. She stood, shoulders squared. I'm not backing down. Carson nodded, respect heavy in his eyes. Then we move. They stepped out of her office, both of them bracing for the storm. Agents were gathered around screens, phones buzzing, voices rising. In the center of the chaos, the analyst looked up from his monitor. He said, breathless. The precinct has gone into lockdown. A crowd is forming outside. Reporters, protesters. They are demanding the officer be suspended. Carson looked at Maya. This is becoming national. She nodded once. Good. But inside, a chill crept down her spine, because exposure came with a price. One she knew she would pay before this was over. And somewhere across the city, Officer Briggs stared at his phone screen, watching his own words echo across the internet. Behind him, someone shouted his name. His world was beginning to fall apart. The police union building sat behind tinted glass and a stone facade meant to look imposing. Inside, the conference room buzzed with tension so thick it felt like humidity, stale, heavy, suffocating. Officer Briggs entered flanked by union representatives, shoulders locked, face pale beneath a mask of anger. Union President Mark Gentry stood at the front of the room, fists resting on the table. 3 attorneys, 2 communications advisors, and a media strategist formed a semicircle around him. "Sit," Gentry ordered. Briggs sat hard, jaw grinding. Gentry wasted no time. "Your live stream was a disaster." Briggs's eyes flared. "I told the truth." "You incriminated yourself on camera," one attorney snapped. "You undermined your defense. You displayed bias on a national broadcast." Briggs looked around, breathing fast. "They are destroying me. That video makes me look like." "It makes you look exactly like what you sounded like," the strategist cut in. Briggs slammed a fist on the table. "I didn't do anything wrong." The strategist leaned forward. "Intent doesn't matter. Optics do." The attorneys whispered among themselves before one spoke up. "We need to get ahead of this. The narrative is slipping away from us." Gentry fixed a stare on Briggs. "Here's what happens next." Briggs straightened, waiting. "You issue a formal apology." "No." Briggs snapped immediately. "That makes me look guilty." "You are guilty," the communications advisor muttered under his breath. Gentry shot him a glare, then returned to Briggs. "The apology won't admit wrongdoing. It'll frame you as a loyal officer overwhelmed by a stressful situation. You'll emphasize your commitment to public safety. And you'll thank the community for their patience." Briggs shook his head violently. "I'm not apologizing to her." "You're not apologizing to her," Gentry said sharply. "You're apologizing to the public. Optics." Briggs folded his arms. "She's blowing this up. She leaked the video." "No," another attorney corrected. "Forensic analysts confirmed the upload came from inside the precinct. Someone close to you." Briggs blinked. "What? Who?" "We don't know yet." Briggs swallowed hard, suddenly unsure. "Someone's trying to ruin me." Gentry leaned in. "Someone didn't have to. You did it yourself when you opened your mouth in that parking lot." Silence fell. Then Briggs said, barely audible, "She set me up?" "No," Gentry said, voice low. "She didn't." The communications advisor pulled out a tablet. "We're monitoring public sentiment. It's bad. Agents, civil rights groups, even some officers are calling for suspension. They are sharing the phrase, 'you people,' in bold text. It's everywhere." Briggs flinched at that. Gentry clasped his hands. "We need containment." A moment later, an assistant rushed in. "Sir, it just got worse." Everyone looked at him. The assistant set down a laptop and pressed play. A news anchor appeared. Newly uncovered bodycam footage shows Officer Briggs holding the complainant's arm as she repeatedly states she is reaching for identification. The footage also captures him using the phrase, "you people." The FBI has confirmed the complainant is Deputy Director Maya Harrison. The room erupted. "What? No. How?" Briggs stammered. Gentry turned slowly toward him. "Deputy Director." Briggs nodded weakly. Gentry slammed his palm on the table so hard the pens jumped. "Why didn't you tell US that?" Briggs shouted, panicked. "I didn't know. She never said. She wasn't dressed like. She—" "Stop talking," an attorney snapped. "Every word you say is another problem." The assistant pointed at the screen again. "There's more." He pressed play. Sources inside the FBI indicate a full federal civil rights review is being opened into the incident. Gentry froze. A federal review meant one thing. The union's usual shield would fracture. Briggs looked around the room, desperate. "They are going to fire me." "They might," Gentry said flatly. No, Mark, you have to protect me. That's your job." Gentry stepped closer, expression carved from stone. "My job is to protect the department, not sink it with you." Briggsy's mouth dropped open. "You're abandoning me." "We're repositioning," Gentry corrected coldly. "There's a difference." Briggs looked at the attorneys, the advisors, anyone, everyone, for reassurance. No one met his eyes. The strategist finally spoke. Look, we can still craft a defense. Miscommunication, stress response, poor training, faulty radio intel. But we cannot fight a federal deputy director with body cam proof in your live stream. Briggs shook his head over and over. This isn't fair. It's reality, Gentry said, and reality cares nothing for fairness. A knock interrupted the tension. A young union employee peeked in, face pale. So, protesters have gathered outside the precinct. News vans, too. Gentry closed his eyes briefly. Briggsy's voice cracked. This is a witch hunt. No, Gentry replied. This is what happens when the whole world hears what you really think. Briggs lunged to stand, panic flaring. I can fix this. I'll make another video. Every attorney exploded at once. No, absolutely not. Are you insane? The strategist pointed a stern finger. You will not speak publicly again. Not a word. Not a sentence. Not a breath. Briggs stared at the table, breathing hard, trapped by consequences he had never imagined would reach him. Gentry leaned back, tone cold, final. Listen carefully. The best-case scenario now is a temporary suspension pending investigation. Worst case, termination, civil rights charges, and national disgrace. Briggsy's hands trembled. Gentry added, Your only job from this moment is silence. We handle the rest. Briggs whispered, What about her? Gentry frowned. What about her? He swallowed. She'll destroy me. Gentry didn't soften. Not even a little. Deputy Director Harrison isn't thinking about you. She's thinking about the truth. But there's no but. Gentry stood. The union can't save you from the truth. No one can. Briggsy's vision blurred for a moment. For the first time, fear, not anger, took the lead in his body, and the room felt colder. Outside the glass walls, the city roared, voices chanting, cameras flashing, footsteps gathering, pressure building. Inside the conference room, Briggs sat alone among people who were no longer allies, just liabilities distancing themselves from a sinking ship. And the ship was him. The Internal Affairs office smelled of disinfectant and tension. Maya sat rigid in the black leather chair, hands folded neatly on her lap. The fluorescent light overhead hummed softly, a drone that echoed the quiet anticipation in the room. She could hear the muted steps of agents in the hallway, phones buzzing, and distant voices speaking in clipped, anxious tones. Across from her, Officer Briggs fidgeted in a chair far too small for his frame, eyes darting between the investigators and the recorder blinking red on the table. His union representative, Mark Gentry, hovered at the edge of the room, arms crossed, jaw tight. Investigator HSU leaned forward. Officer Briggs, this interview is to reconcile the conflicting statements regarding the Quantico parking garage incident on Tuesday morning. You are aware of the allegations. Briggs nodded stiffly. Yes. HSU continued, voice calm, deliberate. We have reviewed the body cam footage, witness statements, and Deputy Director Harrison's report. You will answer questions honestly and in accordance with your submitted report. Briggs swallowed hard. Yes. Do you recall your initial actions when you approached Deputy Director Harrison? HSU asked. Briggs hesitated, jaw tight. I was securing the area. She was moving suspiciously. HSU's pen hovered over her notebook. Can you specify what you mean by suspicious? She reached into her bag. I thought, Briggs paused, face reddening. I thought she might have a weapon. Maya's heart rate ticked faster. She kept her hands folded, voice calm when she spoke. I was reaching for my ID badge. Officer, not a weapon. Briggs shifted in his chair, swallowing. I didn't know. I didn't know it was you. HSU looked up sharply. Officer Briggs, the body cam shows you placing your hand on your holster while Deputy Director Harrison is compliant and calm. How do you justify that action? Briggs's fingers fidgeted. I was following procedure. Following procedure. Maya interrupted. There was no immediate threat, no aggressive movement. Your response was unnecessary. Briggs's eyes flicked to her, panic flashing. I thought. You thought? Maya said, voice rising slightly, each word deliberate. You assumed. You judged based on the color of my skin and the position I was in. That is not procedure. That is prejudice. A tight silence filled the room. HSU pen scratched the paper slowly, documenting every word. Gentry leaned forward. Briggs, stay on script. Briggs's mouth opened, then closed, a war raging inside him. HSU continued. Do you acknowledge that your report described Deputy Director Harrison as evasive and confrontational? Yes, but, Briggs stammered. You described her tone as aggressive. You claimed she refused lawful instructions. Yet the video and witness accounts contradict that. HSU pressed. Briggs looked down, sweat forming at his hairline. I misinterpreted. Misinterpreted? Maya said, her voice razor-sharp. You escalated unnecessarily because of assumptions. You humiliated me publicly. You endangered me. I didn't mean to, Briggs whispered. You did, Maya said flatly. Intent is irrelevant. Your actions were the same. Briggs's hands trembled. I followed the rules. You followed rules only in your mind, Maya said, and you almost ruined someone's career over it. HSU scribbled furiously. Officer Briggs, are you willing to amend your report to reflect factual accuracy? Briggs hesitated, eyes darting to Gentry. Gentry's face was unreadable, tight, unyielding. Yes, Briggs finally muttered. I can correct it. HSU nodded. Very well. We will document the corrections, and a formal report will be filed. Briggs sank back into the chair, pale, defeated. His confident mask had shattered, leaving only raw fear. Maya's voice softened slightly, controlled but unwavering. Understand this, Officer Briggs. This is not only about the facts. It is about accountability, fairness, and justice. The system failed once because of assumptions. Do not fail it again. Briggs nodded, unable to meet her gaze. HSU closed a notebook. This concludes the interview for today. Officer Briggs, you remain on administrative duty pending further review. The recorder clicked off. Maya stood, shoulders squared. Thank you. She walked past Briggs, past the union representatives, out into the hallway. The corridor seemed unusually long, echoing her heels against the tile floor. Her breath was steady, her mind alert, every nerve humming with controlled fury. Outside, cameras and reporters were gathering, alerted by the leaked footage. Protesters and citizens streamed past the building, some chanting, some shouting, some holding signs demanding justice. Maya walked into the throng with a calm, deliberate stride. Her phone buzzed. She ignored it. Behind her, Briggs's world had tilted irreversibly. Public scrutiny, federal review, and exposure had begun its relentless climb. Every defense, every narrative he had tried to hold together was dissolving. And Maya knew this was only the beginning. Truth, once visible, could not be contained. She took a deep breath and let the city surround her. The fight was not personal anymore. It was systemic. And for the first time, she felt the fragile, vital weight of justice beginning to tilt back toward balance. By the next morning, the story had exploded across every platform. Headlines blared from news websites, social media feeds, and television broadcasts alike. FBI Deputy Director exposes racist police officer. Bodycam footage sparks national outrage. Officer on administrative leave amid federal investigation. Public outrage surged, a tidal wave that could not be ignored. Maya sat in the FBI media monitoring room, her posture rigid, hands clasped over her notebook. Analysts scrolled through news stories, clips, and tweets, filtering information for anything that might influence public perception or affect the investigation. Every word mattered. Every misstatement could compromise the integrity of the case. Assistant Director Carson approached, carrying a stack of reports. The media is calling for statements from the precinct and the police union. They're expecting immediate action. Maya nodded. We issue factual statements only. No speculation. No opinion. Every sentence must be defensible. Carson hesitated. Are you prepared for the public attention? The interviews, the scrutiny. Maya's gaze didn't waver. I am not here to be comfortable. I am here to ensure accountability. Across town, Officer Briggs watched the chaos from the confines of his small apartment, the walls seeming to close in. His phone buzzed incessantly, messages from the union, colleagues, and strangers alike. Each notification was a reminder that his reputation was crumbling. He scrolled through social media, stunned at the scale of exposure. Every video clip of him yelling, every freeze frame of his hand on Maya's arm, every transcript from his live stream was shared, commented on, and dissected. Rage boiled in his chest, but beneath it, fear coiled like a serpent. What's happening to me? He muttered aloud. His reflection in the darkened window looked like a stranger, hollow-eyed and panicked. The union called, insisting he remain silent. Lawyers advised against posting anything further. He ignored them. In his mind, he needed to defend himself. He needed to reclaim the narrative. But every attempt to speak only amplified the scrutiny. Meanwhile, Maya prepared for her first public interview since the incident. The studio lights reflected off the polished floor, casting sharp highlights across her face. Reporters murmured, cameras adjusted, and teleprompters blinked in anticipation. She took a deep breath, focusing on clarity, authority, and precision. The first question came. Deputy Director Harrison, how do you respond to the outrage surrounding Officer Briggs? She leaned forward, voice calm but resolute. The footage speaks for itself. What occurred was an abuse of authority, rooted in bias. My role is to ensure that such actions are examined, that accountability is enforced, and that systems are improved to prevent future incidents. A reporter interjected. Some critics say this to create distrust among law enforcement. What is your response? Maya met the camera directly. Accountability does not create distrust. Ignoring misconduct does. Law enforcement's credibility is built on trust, transparency, and adherence to ethical standards. The public has a right to expect those standards to be upheld. The broadcast cut to a panel discussion, analysts dissecting every word. Clips of Briggs's live stream were juxtaposed with Maya's statements. The narrative was clear. The officer's actions were indefensible, and the deputy director's composure reinforced public confidence and accountability. By evening, the precinct was in chaos. Officers whispered in hallways, unsure who to trust. Union leaders scrambled to control the narrative but faced an unstoppable flood. Protests had grown larger, chants echoing for blocks. Justice for Harrison, end racism in policing. The community demanded more than apologies. They demanded systemic change. Briggs tried to contact colleagues, desperate for reassurance, but calls went unanswered. Emails from superiors were terse, reminding him of silenced directives. The pressure was suffocating. He realized he had underestimated Maya, underestimated the consequences, and underestimated the power of evidence. His career, his credibility, and his public image were unraveling simultaneously. Every choice he made from this point forward carried consequences he could no longer control. Maya watched the events unfold, her phone buzzing with messages from federal oversight, the mayor's office, and advocacy groups. Each report confirmed the trajectory: public scrutiny, administrative review, policy proposals, and national conversations about bias and accountability in policing. Her emotions remained controlled, but inside, a mix of exhaustion, relief, and righteous anger simmered. She had exposed a systemic problem through one incident, but the ripples were already beginning to affect broader change. A notification flashed, a live stream from outside the precinct. Crowds were chanting, reporters filming, banners waving. The officer who had once tried to assert power over her now faced the consequences of his own actions, transparent, public, undeniable. Maya stepped away from the monitors, shoulders squared. The fight was far from over, but the narrative had shifted. Accountability was no longer optional. Somewhere in the city, Briggs stared at his reflection in the glass, finally understanding the full weight of exposure. He could no longer hide. He could no longer spin a story. Truth had emerged. Justice had begun. And for Maya, that was the only victory that truly mattered.